All right, welcome into another edition of the Tommy Mac podcast here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com, and of course right here on Facebook Live on the 1010XL page. I know I posted I'd be out off and running at 10. We were 5 minutes late, so I apologize for being late. I'll take a few laps around the building after the show and punish myself. Hope everybody had a great holiday. Hanukkah, Christmas, I think Kwanzaa started. I got a nice shirt from Christmas, huh? Pretty cool. I got a couple cool things that my family got for Daddy on Christmas morning, so that's always good to get. Hope you got what you wish for, Jag fans. I know you did. Our Jags get crushed by the Bears, and yeah, they got crushed. It was so embarrassing. You know, the Bears are a 500 team at best. I mean, no disrespect, but they are. They're not going to beat Green Bay. Green Bay's one of the top teams in the league right now, the way they're playing. And that Aaron Rodgers, he's unbelievable. But nonetheless, the Packers are going to beat the Bears. You made Trubisky look like a superstar. You made A-Rob look like this dominant, incredible number one wide receiver. And look, I'm happy for A-Rob, man. No doubt about it. But they didn't do him wrong here. He was coming off an ACL. I wouldn't have paid him that money either. I wouldn't have. It wasn't good timing for him. Hey, he's made a nice career in Chicago, and that's great. So I am happy for him. Of course, your Jags. Now, what's that? 14 games in a row. What a year! Losing 14 in a row. You'll lose 15 in a row when you go to the Colts because you won't win that game. Colts need that win in order to stay into this playoff tournament, which I'll get into later on in the show. All right, so the big news, of course, Jags lock up the number one pick in the 2020 draft. The fans, the media, locally anyway, they act like it's already New Year's Eve and, Old Lang Syne and all that. And they should. I don't consider myself a fan, nor I know I shouldn't say media, but I don't know. I don't look at it that way. I just like looking at things and giving my opinion on them. I don't need to get a quote or whatever. People do different things. It's all good, but they should feel like that, right? We finally got some hope. And if Trevor Lawrence comes out, which it looks like he will, you take him, of course, and that would be fantastic. There's no doubt about that. It's the first time in Jags history that we get the number one pick. Hey, man. It could change things. I don't think it flips us over like a pancake and all of a sudden we're riding high. He's one piece. You need a lot of pieces. And I love how people are like, oh, but they got all these picks. Well, who's picking them? And how do you have confidence that Shad Khan is going to pick the right GM to make those right picks? Trevor Lawrence, that's an easy one. Anybody can make that pick. You can make that pick. Like, who else are you going to take? You need a quarterback, and he's the best. And if they, it's worth the risk. They say he's generational. I want to see it before I believe it, okay? And, hey, look, I know the kid has all the tools. He's big. He's got a huge arm. He's accurate. He can run. He's athletic. But I want to see him in an NFL game against NFL talent week in and week out. And I feel that way about all quarterbacks coming out of college. Because the one thing you cannot totally measure unless you've seen it with them at the college level is, will they stand and make that throw? It doesn't have to be always in the pocket. Guys, roll out, whatever. Are you going to make the throw knowing you're going to get crushed? It's a hard thing to do, especially when you're not looking. And these guys are massive. They're fat. I mean, they're crushing you. And will you stand there and make the throw? That's what I got to see. But you don't know that with any QB. Now, I'll go back to Joe Burrow. Well, I saw him at LSU do that. And it wasn't his senior year, his junior year. I saw about 5 games. My nephew was at Auburn at the time, so I'd watch that one. And then I like this kid. And tough kid. He'd get the crap kicked out of him, but yet he'd still make the throw. And he was athletic, and he was fun to watch. I thought Burrow was ready more than most quarterbacks entering the draft. Of course, he gets hurt in the 10th game of the year. So there's nothing against Trevor. I would take him too. I just wasn't for the, tanking and don't play players and, try to lose kind of crap. I think that's a terrible premise, a terrible way to go. It's a loser's mentality. I don't like it. I don't think you lose to win. You fans, you think what you want, man. I'm not bagging on you. It's all good. But just from a former player's perspective, and I think most players would say that, no, I'm not tanking to get a better draft position. The kid's coming out of college. You don't even know till he gets here. And that's typically the mentality. But look, I think, and by the way, national media and Mort, I love Chris Mortensen. Known him for years. Used to be a guest on my show. I know Adam Schefter a little bit. He was actually a pretty cool guy when I met him here in Jacksonville when we had the Super Bowl, believe it or not. But they need to shut up about this, the draft order, and it should change. No. We're the worst team. We get the number one pick. Period. I don't care what you think or where you think he should go. Now, maybe you know something we don't know. But at the same time, I think you need to quiet down. Let us get the pick. Let us have the hope. We've suffered long enough. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Who Shad Khan picks as his general manager, who that general manager picks as head coach, is more important than who we take with the number one pick for the longevity, health of our organization. We can't miss on either one of those, in my opinion. You can't. Everyone says you can't miss on the quarterback. I agree with that, but you can't miss on this GM. You can't miss on the head coach. And I hope Shad Khan, he can't rely on internal resources, in my opinion, any longer. And he can't rely on some unknown third-party search group. That's so stupid. I can't believe he'd even think that. What are you talking about? Go get a football guy. Go get a personnel guy. Go get somebody that you can grab from an organization that has had multiple years of success and how they built their team. Pittsburgh, Green Bay, New England, whatever, New Orleans, whatever. There's probably about 8 of them, right? Seattle, whatever. You can go through the list. Find someone in those organizations that's a star that they like, that's on the way up, and bring them in. Or bring in a veteran, like I'll throw out Ron Wolf. He helped build the Packers way back in the day. Or the guy that just, do you think he retired from Kansas City? Bring in a football guy that'll say to you, hey, Shad, this is who you need. Don't rely on anyone internally. Sorry, internal people. I just don't trust you anymore. You've lost the trust. And Trent Baalke's new. I don't know. And I don't think he would keep Marrone. How do you keep Marrone? It's just not working. None of it's working. There's no extra credit for effort from his team. That doesn't mean anything. That's high school stuff. Maybe college. But you got to clean house. I want someone fresh in there and someone new to the organization that knows the NFL, that has had success building teams or within an organization. You just got to hit on the right guy. And that GM's got to hit on the right coach. That matches what? The personality of the team. And the personality of the team has to match what the head coach wants his team to have, what kind of personality he wants to have. That's the mix. It's not just talent. It's not just winning in the NFL level. It's about combining those two and making sure that those players are managed and motivated each and every week to win. Period. And it's tough. I know it's tough. Sidebar here. I'll get back to the Jags, but I saw where Dwayne Haskins gets cut from the Washington football team. Can they come up with a name? I don't know. Come up with a name. Anyway, he gets cut. 15th pick in 2019. 15th overall pick. They cut him the next year. The next year, he's gone. Okay, he went to the strip club. Young guys go to a strip club. He didn't wear the mask. They fined him. Fine. Whatever. That was a dumb move on his part, especially, no disrespect to the strippers out there, but the strippers might have more than just COVID for all we know. Anyway, nonetheless, he was a dummy. That was a dumb move. Then he gets replaced in the game Sunday, and he doesn't go to the media afterward. He says, hey, I thought they wanted the guy that took over. I can't even remember his name. Nobody even knows who this guy is. I thought he was going to be with the media or handle the media. Anyway, he went back to the media. He ended up. Anyway, they cut him. Cut him. Gone. Not suspended. Not, hey, Dwayne, you know what? You need to go home for the rest of the year. We'll talk after the year. Get this thing back on. Whatever. They cut him. Gone. So you hear Booger McFarland, if you haven't heard that, he had an interesting take. He said, look, there's 70% African-American black players in the league today, which is, I guess, accurate. And he said, these players don't come in wanting to win championships. I'm paraphrasing. They care about me. They care about the brand. They care about the money way before. Well, I don't think it's a black and white thing because there's plenty of white players that feel that way too. It's got to be across the board. At the end of the day, you do have to balance that. These guys know what's at stake. And it's, I don't know, is it natural progression? Look, the salaries are so big, I don't blame them for that. I didn't grow up in that era, right? I grew up in the team era. Team does well, individuals do well. It's a little bit different. But the organizations I mentioned, though, they do it that way. It's team first. We want you to be great individually. We want you to be the best of your position. We want you to go to Pro Bowls, all pro, get the bonus money, everything. But it doesn't come before the team. And that's a tough thing today because we saw it here in Jacksonville. And I don't care what color the players were, but you look at Jalen Ramsey, you look at Leonard Fournette. I mean, they would Instagram. I mean, look at all this cash. I remember Fournette was on a private jet. He had all this cash on the table. I was like, dude, you signed for like $3 million, not $300 million. But nonetheless, I think that's the mentality for a lot of players. I know what Booger McFarland was saying. I don't think it's a black and white thing, but I think it's just the younger generation. So you got to find a coach that can do that is what I'm getting at. That can handle that can motivate, hold them accountable, and get them prepared to win in the National Football League. So you can't miss on those. I think you got a clean house. Urban Meyer's been mentioned. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Urban Meyer, he's such a snake. He's slimy. He's slippery. I don't know. He built a great college program. I think when you can offer money and stuff, you could build that. It's a little harder in the NFL, but I don't want Urban Meyer, I don't think. Eric Bieniemy, Brian Daboll from the Bills, Robert Saleh from the 49ers. Those are guys I definitely want to see get interviews and see what they're like. And by the way, before we all get our panties in a wad about, when they do make that decision, just remember, the interview is a lot of it. You got to impress in the interview. Philosophy, game plan, just culture, everything, how you handle the media, all of it. And so we're not there in the interview process. So let's not be like, oh, that guy sucks. Well, you weren't there. Maybe his interview was unbelievable. And you say, oh, no, this is the guy. So anyway, maybe panties in the wad was a little strong. But you know what I mean? Let's just see what happens. But I think the GM and the head coaching jobs are more important than getting the quarterback right here in Jack. And you need more help. You need a left tackle. Cam, God bless you. I know you're trying. I know you're good against the run. Maybe you go somewhere else and they teach you better. I don't know. Maybe you keep them if it's not too much money. I don't know. But our old line, they were okay, and it wasn't all them. But I think you need to upgrade. If you're upgradable at critical positions, left tackle, pass rusher, corner, number one wide receiver, quarterback, running back, you upgrade him. If you're upgradable, I think he is. So, look, it's going to be an interesting time. The Colts are going to kill us. Whatever. Who cares? I want the season over. I'm sick of the season. I'm sick of the crap. It's great we got the number one pick. I'm glad everybody's happy, and then we'll see what happens. But I got to know who's making those picks after number one, because that's when it gets tricky. All right, playoff time right around the corner, man. I hate that our team's not in it. I want nothing more than the team to be in, okay? I may be critical on them. I may be tough on them. It comes from the heart. I want them to win, because when we won back in the 90s, it was magical here in Jacksonville. It was. And we have more and more people here today. It'll be magical again. And I want that for the city. It's so, you remember, so much energy, so much electricity, just so much awesomeness when our team does well. So that's what I hope for. But I like the playoffs. I love this time of year. I love the Game 17s that matter. You know, like the Colts. They have to beat the Jags if they want to stand a chance. That underneath the Steelers, I mean, Ravens, Colts, Browns. Blew it. You know, how come, is a quarterback sneak that challenging, and is the ball that slippery? Because Baker Mayfield, my gosh, I mean, and some of these quarterbacks, don't you you should just dive, find a crease and go, right? Going like this and running up to the leaning into the line ain't going to get you much. You got to go for it when you're going, doing a quarterback sneak. But nonetheless, it's a great time of year. And the playoffs are going to be fun. So I've done my homework. I'm going to make my calls today on who I think will be in the championship games and who will be in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to pick a winner of the Super Bowl yet because I want to see these teams in the playoffs. All right, so let me start with the NFC. Look, I think Green Bay is really hot right now. Rodgers is on fire. Their defense is good enough. They've got weapons everywhere. The running game's strong. Their offensive line's very strong. If you got to go through Green Bay, it's going to be a tough out, especially if the weather's bad, which it probably will be. So I think Green Bay's a lock for the championship, getting into that game. And then I look at New Orleans on the other side. I know there are other candidates that could be there. But I think New Orleans their defense is bad to the bone. I mean, we all know about the offense, but their defense is really good. They got a great defensive line, great pass rush, and again, you playoff time, stop the run the ball, get off on third down, convert on third down. That's whoever does that the best. Those four, they win normally, and you don't turn the ball over, of course, but nonetheless. So I got Green Bay and New Orleans in the NFC Championship. And for the AFC Championship, look, what Pittsburgh did to the Colts this weekend was very telling to me. They were on a 3-game skid. They won 12 in a row, 3-game skid, not playing good football. Tom was not happy. Nobody's happy. They come from behind to beat Indianapolis. They were down 24 points. I mean, it was a big deficit to overcome, but they did it. I think that's very telling. I really like Pittsburgh's defense. When they're playing well, they are nasty, and they can get after that quarterback, and they can stop the run. Hey, Tyson Alualu, man, good for you. Good for you. So I think Pittsburgh is going to be there, and, of course, Kansas City is going to be there. We know that. I mean, unless something totally crazy happens. It's interesting, Mahomes not playing his fantastic football, but they got so many weapons. Travis Kelce, goodness gracious. Jags, if you get Pitts out of Florida, second pick, he might not be there. Maybe you got to move up to get him, but he would be a weapon and a half for this team. You see what a tight end can do when you watch what Kansas City does with their tight end and Travis Kelce. So I've got Pittsburgh and Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and Green Bay and New Orleans. So Super Bowl, what number is it? Do we know it? I don't even know what number it is. We're past 50. What are we, 52, 53, 54? I don't know. Somewhere around there. We're in the 50s. So it's going to be a fun time regardless. I've got Pittsburgh upsetting Kansas City. I think their defense does it, gets after Patrick Mahomes. And I think they're coming around on offense at a good time. And I think Green Bay will beat New Orleans. Pittsburgh and Green Bay in the Super Bowl in 2021 in January. So there you have it. We'll see what happens. Great time of the year. Congrats to you, Jag fans. You got what you wanted. The number one pick in the draft. Now let's just hope the owner knows what he's doing and does the right thing and makes the right calls to lead this organization into a decade of winning. Because that's what you deserve, and that's what I hope you get starting in the new year. All right, this will be the only show this week. I got the Colts beating the Jags, 40-10. They'll kill them. We won't do another show, so Happy New Year out there. Safe, healthy, and prosperous New Year to each and every one of you out there. Thanks for listening to the Tommy Mac Podcast here on Facebook Live and on 1010XL.com.